I want to thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the video to your friends. Right now we got Brian Westbrook. Not gonna talk too much. Let's get straight into it.
Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify. Today we have a special interview. One of the all-time greatest running backs, and not only the NFL, but college as well. Mr. Brian Westbrook, thank you for coming on to the pod and welcome.
So much for having me.
So, okay, let's start from the beginning. In high school, you played for a powerhouse in DeMatha. In Maryland, they are the best football high school in all of Maryland and one of the best in the entire country. So talk about playing for such a prestigious high school program and wanting to be one of the best to ever come out of there.
DeMatha, like you mentioned, is a truly a special place. Not only academically, and sports wise as well. We're great in the arts as far as music and all different types of things as well. And so when you look at what happens at DeMatha, because it is a special place, we're exceptional at baseball, lacrosse, hockey, football, and basketball. And lucky enough, during my time there, I was able to play both football and basketball on a very high level. Was able to play with a lot of guys that made it both to the NFL as well as the NBA. So just it was a great time, but it was a great opportunity to continue to get better. It was a great opportunity for me to continue to improve as a player and to grow as a young athlete and scholar. And when I think back to my high school experience, I think about the moments that helped to shape me as a young man. And I think back to times like my freshman year. My freshman year, I was really, really good in Boys and Girls Club going into high school. And then my freshman year, I just wasn't good enough to play. The coaches didn't feel I was good enough. Quite honestly, I didn't play um, any plays my freshman year in football, like zero plays. Not one time was I on the field, which was super disappointing to me as an athlete who thought that he was very good at the time. Luckily enough, I was able to go play basketball, and I played basketball during that season as well. But that was a very humbling experience. It was an experience that showed me that I had a lot to learn and a lot of growing that needed to be done. But at the same time, it instilled a fire and a passion to get better, instilled the passion to work hard and to dedicate myself and to focus a little bit more. A lot of people go through situations where you're the big fish in a small pond. Sometimes you head into high school and then you're the small fish in a big pond. And for me, going to a powerhouse school like DeMatha, I truly was a small fish in a big pond, and I had to learn the ropes and learn how to do things the right way, learn how to be a gentleman and a scholar, as well as an athlete. And along that process, I was able to find myself as a young man.
That's truly inspiring because with you being so young and not really being given the opportunity, that's similar to a lot of these players out there now that might feel discouraged because they aren't getting the time they want. But you're just telling them that their time will come. Now you have to put in the work. If you're not playing on the field, put in the work off the field. Make sure you're working just as hard as the starters and the people on varsity. And that's what you did. So you worked so hard in the summer. So when your opportunity did come your sophomore year, you were able to ball out.
Yeah, I mean, the truth is many times in life, you're going to get an opportunity and you have to be ready for that opportunity. You have to be prepared for that opportunity, which means you have to put in just as much work as the guy that's starting or the person that's starting or the person who had the opportunity before that. When you look at the work world and things outside of sports. And so for me, it was all about building myself to understand that when I had the opportunity, I wanted to be prepared. I wanted to be ready. I wanted to be able to do everything that I can to make sure that if I had an opportunity to play, that I got in there and played well. Fortunately for me, the starter ended up getting some academic trouble. And when he got in academic trouble, I was prepared to step in and play. And so I always believe that if you're prepared, you put in the work, and then you have the opportunity, then you go out there and do everything you can to play well. And I was able to do that at a high level. And from that moment on, it was almost like an eye-opening situation for some of the coaches. They were like, "Oh wow, he actually can play," and they saw some of the talent shine through. And from that moment on, the coaches really believed that I had an opportunity to be a really good player at DeMatha.
And that you did. Your junior year was truly special. Look at some of the accolades you had. Only in your junior year, you were first team All Washington Catholic Athletic Conference. You were All State Honorable Mention. So talk about that big jump that you did take from your sophomore year to your junior year, and now you're one of the best players in the entire country.
Yeah, you know what happens in sports and truly in life is that um, sometimes it takes time. Sometimes it takes reps. Sometimes it takes practice to continue to get better. And for me, I was one of those guys where I was going to dedicate myself in practice. I was going to get better in practice. That's where I felt I could have the most improvement. So many more talented guys than me, they didn't have to practice as hard. They didn't have to do some of the things that I did to become better. They were just much more talented, especially at the time. And so for me, I was just more of a hard worker. I just worked really, really hard. I did everything I could to take advantage of every opportunity. And then my junior year, I was one of the more highly recruited juniors in the country. I showed what I can do my sophomore year, played very well, both on offense and defense. And then my junior year, I kind of blossomed and came into my own. And a lot of the colleges were saying, hey, you got an opportunity to get a scholarship. You got an opportunity for someone to pay for your
Wow.
school. And now, that dreams start to formulate the thought process that um, this is a great opportunity for me to get college paid for, which is truly a blessing when you come from the place where I come from, a middle income type of family, with two working parents that had just worked their butt off to be able to get me into DeMatha. And now I have the ability to go out there and hopefully pay for college. And so that junior year was something special to me. All the stars kind of aligned. We were able to win the championship. We did really well on the field, and I was able to contribute and help that team win. I mean, that was super special to me.
And that's really amazing because in your junior year, like you said, you were one of the most recruited prospects in all of the country, but you did suffer an ACL tear the summer going to your senior season. So talk about that adversity you had to face because now you're from one of the more recruited prospects in all of the country to now the same team that said they wanted you, not really recruiting you as much.
Well, the truth about life and sports in particular, and I truly believe sports emulates life, or life emulates sports, however you want to look at it. Um, you're going to face some adversity. It's not always going to be, sunny skies and great days. It's not always going to be that. You're going to lose some games. You're going to win some games. You're going to have good games. You're going to have bad games. And unfortunately, during sports, there's some injury as well during that time period. And I went from being one of the more highly recruited juniors in the country my junior year, of course, and then going into working out. I'm literally just working out on the field, trying to get myself better. Stepped in the groundhog hole, tore my ACL that summer of my senior year. And, at that point, because you haven't faced as much adversity, especially from the injury side, that was huge. That was now the world and saying sit down and watch everybody else play while you have the opportunity to get better from a mental capacity. And so for me, it was just a tough situation. I was 17, 16, 17 years old, wasn't able to play, wasn't able to do what I love. But I also understood that all those colleges that once said that you were an elite player in the country, now they're all saying we don't want you anymore. Back in 1996, when I tore my ACL the first time, um, that was a point where no one was coming back from ACLs before a year. And so a lot of the colleges were like, listen, we can't even take a chance on you because you have a torn ACL. And so that was kind of a down part of my high school career. Things just weren't lining up, things weren't going the way that I wanted to. And you mentioned it, adversity. Uh, Everyone's going to face it. And it's not necessarily, will you face adversity? It's always about what do you do during that adverse time? What do you do during that time? Do you get negative? Are you too down on yourself? Is there not a shining light? There's not a ray of hope coming through? Or are you saying, you know what? I'm going to take this time to get better in a different way. I'm going to take this opportunity to say, okay, I'm going to step back and be a better student. I'm going to step back and be a better student of the game of football. I'm going to be a better teammate. I've been a better person to my friends and family. And that was just the opportunity for me to do those things that I thought were important, as well as try to get healthy enough to play those 4 or 5 games that I was able to play towards the end of that season.
Now, you did say that the schools that were once recruiting you, the big time schools in your junior year, they stopped during your senior season because of your injury. But there was one school that continued to recruit you and really wanted you to play for the program, and that was Villanova. So, talk about the transition between the Math and Villanova because the Math is a more football school. They're good at other things, like you said, the arts and the academics. but they're really known as a football school into going to Villanova, where they're heavy on the academics, and they're really more of a basketball school. So talk about that transition and how much that differs from DeMatha going to Villanova.
Well, the DeMatha is very well known for the basketball too, but in football, just sports in general, especially in the Washington D.C. area. But when you think about Villanova, traditionally it's a school where people are going there to get an education, especially on the football side. They're going there,
Yes.
they're going to play a little football, but the NFL is not traditionally where they're going to spend their time. They're going to spend their time getting a job, getting the experience, and then networking, and then finding a job after school. Of course, there's some exceptions. Brian Finneran, who played with me my freshman year, as well as Howie Long, Hall of Famer, on TV every single week talking about the NFL. And so um, I went to Villanova because they gave me opportunity. They gave me opportunity to get my schooling paid for. It was close to home, but I also knew, more importantly, that Villanova was a place where you're going to get an excellent education. And if you can get an excellent education and you're able to network and meet the right people, you got a chance to get a real job after school. And that was super important to me. And so that was the reason why I went to Villanova. They gave me a chance. They ended up actually coming to see me play basketball. And that's when they offered me. Almost everybody else had been offered scholarships. And they came and offered me during basketball season and said, listen, we've seen you play basketball. You're healthy enough to do that. Now we want you to go out there and try to compete for opportunity at Villanova University. And I was able to go out there and play well my freshman year.
And you did have an impact right away. Your freshman year in 1997, you played 11 games, but you had 419 rushing yards, 3 rushing touchdowns, 85 receiving yards, 4 receiving touchdowns, 157 kick return yards, and 124 punt return yards. And this was when freshmen really weren't having that big of an impact. So talk about the impact you could have so fast.
Well, we had a really good team. We had one NFL player. We had some all league selections, some all Americans on that team. Like, we had a really good team. In fact, we were the number one team in the country for 10 or 11 weeks straight my freshman year. So we were pretty good. But, it was just a great opportunity for me to say, okay, you're healthy enough to play, thank goodness, but you're also smart enough to be able to learn from these upperclassmen that were just great men. They were great leaders, and they were also great players. And so I learned from guys like Curtis Sifford and Brian Finneran and Josh Dobin, guys that were just older, had been in the program for a long time, and were willing to teach me and take me underneath their wing and show me what football was all about.
And that learning paid off because going into your sophomore year, you did something that has never ever been done. You ran for 1,000 yards and you received for 1,000 yards. That's something that people in the NFL struggle to do still. And also, not only that, in the kick return game, you also had 644 kick return yards and a kick return touchdown and 192 punt return yards. This amassed over 3,000 all-purpose yards. Talk about that jump that you took from your freshman year to your sophomore year. And like we said, just you being ready for your moment. And when your moment came, you produced.
At some point, all the work, all the preparation comes together. And I think for me, that was the beginning of it starting to come together. I put in a lot of work to become a great running back, hand the ball off, run the football. I put in even more work being a guy that can catch the ball out of the backfield, that can contribute in the pass game, which was critical to my game. Of course, being able to, carry the load. Having that many touches in a college season is a lot. And I was able to do that too and remain relatively healthy. So it was just super important for me to say, hey, anytime you touch the ball, go do your thing. My thing was to make people miss and score touchdowns. And so that was my goal. That was the thing that I was good at. And the coaches said, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to get you the ball in as many ways as we possibly can. And because of that, I was able to go out there and take advantage of some of the defenses.
You did that because in your junior year, you were amazing as well. You ran for 1,220 rushing yards, had 15 rushing touchdowns, 724 receiving yards, and 5 receiving touchdowns. And the most special thing, in my opinion, that you did this season was you amassed over 1,000 kick return yards. Now, you were 8 yards away from amassing another 3,000 all-purpose yard season. But now talk about you having back-to-back amazing seasons and maybe looking at the NFL as a possibility.
Yeah, it was important for me after my sophomore year, and in football and sports, really in life, it's about what have you done for me lately, right? And so you can have one
Yep,
great
that's true.
year And if you don't follow it up with another great year, they're like, ah, that was a flash in the pan. You were just able to do it one time. You weren't able to repeat it. It just kind of happened for you. And so it was super important for me during my sophomore and junior year to work even harder.
Mm,
Most of my story, I wish it was more complex than that. Um, it's all about hard work. It was all about being focused. The hard part that so many young people, including myself, went through was how do you focus so much on one thing, right? In college, you're young, you got girls, you have parties, you have drinking, you have all different types of distractions. And the best players are the ones that are able to deal with and navigate through those distractions and still focus on the things that are super important to me, to that person. And for me, what was super important, the most important thing was football. School was certainly up there as well. And so I was able to navigate through some of those crazy moments to say, okay, what's the most important thing? School. Okay, let's focus on that. Let's make sure that you get good grades. I was an academic All-American a few of my years at Villanova. What's the second most important thing? Well, being the best player on the field, being the best
mm.
player that I could possibly be. And that meant I had to outwork everyone else. That meant I had to be better off the field than everyone else so that I can be better on the field. And so it was just a great moment for me to be able to follow up my sophomore year, going into my junior year, being an All American again, and be able to produce on the field.
That's really what you did. And what I'm hearing right now is you never ever settled. You didn't settle for your sophomore season when you had 1,000 yards rushing, 1,000 yard receiving. You didn't settle for your junior year when you had 1,200 yards rushing and 1,000 kick return yards and 600 receiving yards. You never settled. You always got better and better and better. Because most players they do settle, but you did not do that. Because in your senior season, you were special once again, amassing over 1,600 rushing yards, 22 rushing touchdowns, 658 receiving yards, 6 receiving touchdowns, 440 kick return yards, and 90 punt return yards. You were special. You were one of the best players in all of college football. And that did help you get drafted by my Philadelphia Eagles. So talk about not only you overcoming adversity again and having a special senior season, but also you living the dream and getting drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles.
Well, there was another bit of adversity between my junior year and my senior year. So after my junior year, so I was an All American my sophomore, my junior year.
Yeah.
After my junior year, I actually tore my ACL again.
Wow.
So my true senior year, I didn't even play. I was on the bench watching the guys that I came in with, who were seniors at this point, play some of their last games, and I wasn't able to play. And so I tore my ACL again. And so there are times in life where you're humbled, like you're riding high, things are going great for you, and you're humbled. You're like, okay, you think things are sweet right now. Okay, let me humble you, bring you back to earth. And that was a moment for me where I was humbled. I mean, I was just doing great, big man on campus, and I was humbled because I wasn't able to play. So you go back to that same mindset. Okay, back to high school. How did you get to the point where you're here now? How did you get to the point where you become a good player and a good man and a good student? And let's go back to that. And so my true senior year, I didn't play. Then I came back my redshirt senior year and had those stats that you mentioned. I started grad school, so I graduated, in 2001. I started grad school that fall, and my last year of playing football, I started my MBA. So I started my master's in business administration, which is absolutely great. And you mentioned being drafted by the Eagles. So I went through this draft process. Just, you go through the season, had a good year. Now you're saying, okay, there's an opportunity for me to play in the NFL, which is a dream come true for so many people. And you go through this process where now you have to play against, I went to Villanova, a one AA school at the time.
Mhm.
Now you got to play against the best players in the country. Now you got to play against the guys that went to Miami, went to Ohio State, went to Florida State. And, many times the scouts would say, "Oh, you did good, but you only went to Villanova. You did good, but you didn't play against the best competition in the country." And so it was my job to do everything that I could to erase that doubt, number one, but also show them that I had the ability to play against some of the best talent. I was lucky enough to be selected to play in the Reese's Senior Bowl, which now has all the best singers in the country, no matter the division. So I was able to play against the guys from Miami and Oklahoma and UCLA, all the best players in the country. And I went there and held my own. I did everything I could to show the scouts that I was big enough and strong enough and fast enough to play. And I was blessed enough to be able to get drafted by Andy Reid in the third round.
In the Senior Bowl, you weren't just good, you were special. You are now a Senior Bowl Hall of Famer. That's special because now I'm seeing some of the biggest seniors of all college football, no matter how big the school is, how small the school is, all coming together to battle it out. So it really shows how big of an impact that you really did have. But I want to go over these college accolades because they were special. So you were the only college football player to run for 1,000 yards and catch for 1,000 yards. You were the 2000 and 2001 A10 Offensive Player of the Year. You were the 2001 Walter Payton Award winner as FCS Best Offensive Player, the only player to score 160 or more points twice in a career. You are one of only 3 Villanova players in history to rush for over 1,000 yards in a season. You did that 3 times. You also were inducted into the Villanova University Varsity Club Hall of Fame in 2016, and you were inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame, the only player from Villanova to do so. You are a 3-time first team All Atlantic 10 selection. Like we said, you're a Senior Bowl Hall of Famer, first team All America honored in 3 different seasons, the NCAA All Division record holder for most all purpose yards in a career, and a 2-time ESAC Player of the Year. These are just special awards and shows how special you were as a college player. But now, coming into the NFL, talk about that transition between the NFL and FCS, because there is a talent gap, and talk about that talent gap and how it was transitioning from Villanova to now the Philadelphia Eagles. But also, you did really well. Your rookie year. You only started 3 games, but you rushed for 193 yards. And you received for 86 yards. So talk about the impact you did have as a rookie, but ultimately this transition between Villanova and the NFL.
Well, the hard part is you go from a point. A lot of guys that are leaving college, and athletes that are leaving college that go to the professional ranks, go through this similar situation. Again, it's almost from high school to college, right? You're the big fish in a small pond. Same thing leaving DeMatha going to Villanova. Almost identical thing leaving Villanova going to the NFL. You're the big man on campus at Villanova. You go to the NFL and you're back at the end of the line. They're saying, "Hey, rookie, carry my pads, and and help me out there." And so, I think I understood the process, understood that this is a learning process. You may get some opportunities to play on the field, but you need to do everything you can to contribute to the team, whether that's on special teams, whether that's on scout team, basically giving your defense a good look so that they can be prepared that next week for the game, or even on offense. And so, I took pride in being on the scout team and playing against our starting defense every day. That's how I got better. That's how I showed people that I can do things. And I'll tell you right now, there were times where our backup offensive line didn't do a very good job blocking, and I got beat up a little bit my rookie year by Hugh Douglas and Dawkins and all those big guys on that team, Bobby Taylor, Joy Vincent, and Al Harris. I mean, we had some great players on that football team, but it was kind of a thing for me to just figure out life, to figure out what NFL is all about, and where did my talent stack up against the best players in the league. We had just the team the year before had just went to the NFC Championship, lost to the Rams, who eventually won the championship that year. We were just a really good team, really well-run organization by Jeffrey Lurie as well as Andy Reid, but then a great team full of veterans that could play. Donovan McNabb, the quarterback, Deuce Staley, running back, Dorsey Levens, running back, Carell Buckhalter coming off a great rookie year. Brian Mitchell, who should be in the Hall of Fame, was in the backfield as well. So, I mean, you're talking about some of the best players in Eagles history that were on that team. And I was behind all of those guys. So it was a great opportunity for me to learn. It was a great opportunity for me to figure out what the game is all about. But it also was a test. It was a test of, okay, you're not the man anymore. Can you figure out your way? Can you figure out how to be patient? Can you figure out how to do the things that make you better, even when sometimes you don't see those things translating into time on the field? These are the lessons that I think young people have to understand. We all want instant gratification. I do, just like everyone else. But sometimes it's a process. Sometimes they say, hey, you know what? You got to learn these 10 things. And then after you learn those 10 things, you got to show me that you learned those 10 things. And then after you show me, then maybe I'll give you a chance. And that's a humbling experience. That's a process that I had to understand and learn. And through that process, I was able to be successful, and understanding that process went a long way for me to become successful in that.
I think that's big for not only football, but for life in general. My mom always said there's no such thing as microwavable success. You don't just do one thing and all of a sudden you're gonna be famous in the morning, you're gonna be rich in the morning. That's not how it works. And that's what your work has shown. In high school, you put in the work as one of the best players in the entire country. In college, you put in the work and became one of the best players in the entire country. And in the NFL, you put in the work because in 2004, you showed out. So 2004, you end the playoffs. This was the year where the Eagles did play the Patriots in the Super Bowl. But I want to talk about before that. In the 2004 playoffs, you had 117 yards from scrimmage and a touchdown in a 27-14 win against the Vikings. You then followed that up with 135 yards from scrimmage in the NFC Championship game, in which we won against the Falcons, sending us to our first Super Bowl in 25 years. And you did have a solid performance as well in the Super Bowl, in which we did lose to the Patriots, rushing for 44 yards, catching for 7 passes for 60 yards, and even scoring a touchdown. So talk about your performance.
Well, yeah, we mentioned it before. The hard work meets the preparation, meets the opportunity. That's when the best players, the best athletes, the best workers show their wares, show how people and how valuable they are, and how good they are. In that game in particular, I had an opportunity just to show people, and really that season. T.O. came aboard, and
Yeah.
T.O. went crazy. He just went crazy early in the year. We were trying to get him the ball as many ways as possible. He touched the ball, I don't know, 15, 16 times a game. And I was able to play the background just a little bit, have a good season. And then towards the end, T.O. Broke his ankle. Roy Williams did a cowboy collar tackle, broke his ankle, and now they say, "Hey, Westbrook, we're going to give you the ball twice as much." And you have to be prepared. Again, that preparation from that goes back to DeMatha, that hard work, that studying, and the opportunity finally presented itself. And I was able to do very well. I was able to do all the things that my team needed me to do to help us win. And that was the most important thing. What do you need to do to help your team win? And I was able to do some of those things, and we were successful and won.
We talk about the legendary Terrell Owens, his impact on the team, and his legendary performance that he had on basically one leg.
Yeah, T.O. he just had a great performance, and you expect that from a Hall of Fame player, right? And you expect that from a Hall of Fame player. What you don't expect is for him to come back, I don't know, 5 or 6 weeks after breaking his ankle and being able to play on that. You don't expect that. And he was able to do that, and he was able to dominate. And just having him in the lineup changes the way you think. T.O. was a special player. We all understand that. But the thing that he was able to give us more than anything, more than just to play on the field, was that the confidence that we can do anything on the field while he was there. So I thought that was super special. But playing in that game, playing in Super Bowl is unlike any other game. And just being in that environment, playing against Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, the best team in the last decade or 2 or 3 decades in the NFL, that was super special. It's unfortunate that we didn't win, but I think when you have those types of experiences, those are life changing experiences. Those are life altering experiences, whether you win or you lose. And I just took so much from that game and being a part of that environment.
Yeah, and after 2004, I want to fast forward to 2006, 2007, because that's when you really broke out. In 2006, you ran for 1,200 yards, had 7 rushing touchdowns, 699 receiving yards, and 4 receiving touchdowns. This was truly special. And in 2007, we followed that up with 1,333 rushing yards, 7 rushing touchdowns, 771 receiving yards, and 5 receiving touchdowns. So talk about you now showing a lot of the load because T.O. left. Now it's all on you. You're going to get the carries. You're going to get the touches. And talk about you shouldering that load and being one of the best players in the entire NFL.
Well, yeah, 2006 and seven, I felt like I was at my prime. I was healthy. I was able to play at a high level, and the team depended upon me. And there's a point in everyone's career where, you're a rookie. They don't really expect much of you. Then you start to get going a little bit. They're like, "Oh, okay, this kid can play a little bit." And then you get into your prime, and they're like, "Hey, we're going to give you the ball in as many ways as we possibly can because we're dependent upon you to win. And right around that time was when things were just going good. What athletes generally say is that the game slows down, right? And
Mm,
so for me, the game slowed down. I was starting to see things differently. And when the game slows down, you're able to make moves. And no matter what a defense does, they just
mhm.
can't stop you. It wasn't about what the defense was doing, it was about what I was doing. And those were the years, 04 through probably '08, where things were just great. I was in my prime, I was healthy. And life was good. Life was good at those times.
I want to transition that into the current day of the NFL, the current day of the running back position. Like you said, in your best years, we're going to give you a bunch of touches, a lot of the carries, a lot of catches out of the backfield. We want to give you as many touches as you can in your prime because right now for the NFL, that's your rookie contract when you're not paying you that much. So then once your rookie contract is up, you have a lot of touches. We don't want to pay you anymore. So I want to hear your take on the current state of the running back position and how you feel it's trending right now.
I think that the NFL teams, the owners want to hope that they're in their prime because they want them to contribute early on a rookie contract, right?
Yep.
And so let's just say on your rookie contract, you get a 3-4 year contract, you're 25, 26 when it expires. You're looking for a contract. That's generally when you're in your prime, 25, 26, right? Unfortunately for the running back position, when they turn 25, 26, most ownership groups and GMs are saying, well, they're on the downside of their career. So we don't want to pay them because we can go get somebody else that's 21, 22 that we don't have to pay any money and we can let them play. Or we can get 2 or 3 guys for the cost of this guy that has played very well. And so unfortunately, the running back position in the NFL currently is the only position where your production hurts you. If you're a great kicker and you're making 80% of your kicks, 90% of your kicks, then as you age and as you continue to grow, you get paid more. Same thing with quarterback. I went from 20 touchdowns to 30 touchdowns my first 2 years, to 40 touchdowns. You get paid more. You're growing, you're getting better. With the running back position, that's the only position in the NFL. If I had 1,000 yards my rookie year, 1,200 yards my second year, 1,400 yards my third year, now it's time to get paid for a contract. They're saying, well, hold on, time out. You got a lot of tread on your tire. You're used up, you're used goods. We don't want to pay you. And I think that's a shame. And now we're seeing guys like Saquon, 5 or 6 years in, Zeke, 6 or 7 years in, not getting paid to the level that I think that they should because the running back carries an awful lot of load. Now the guys that are getting paid, Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara, those are the guys that have the ability to catch the ball out of the backfield and contribute in the run game. Now those are the guys that are getting 15, $16 million a year instead of guys that have traditionally carried the ball, 20, 25 times a game.
That does make sense because Alvin Kamara and CMC are two of the best pass catching backs, along with Austin Eckler in the entire league, and they are the two getting paid the most. Also, right now, the running back going to get paid the most money this year is Bijan Robinson, and that just goes to show they want to pay these younger backs to get out of the draft with fresh legs with no wear and tear on their tires because they think they can produce the best for them, and they're not worried about that injury risk. Now, I do want to put you on the spot though. I want to ask you your top 5 running backs in the entire league right now.
Well, you certainly got to look at the talent. I think Christian McCaffrey and Alvin Kamara certainly top of the list, especially if Kamara can stay healthy and they hand him the ball a little bit. I think those guys are going to touch the ball off a lot, but they have the ability to affect the game in a variety of ways, especially with the ball in their hands in the pass game and the run game. Derrick Henry has been the model of consistency, close to
Yes.
16, 700, 800 yards every single year. Been super impressive. It's hard. I'm thinking about trying to label it down to 5, so that's 3 already. Um, I think Saquon is a special talent. I think Nick Chubb is a special talent. I mean, he's going to get close to 2,000 yards every single year. Um, but I also think about guys like Josh Jacobs, who will get it done, who will do a great job this season. I also think that quietly, DeAndre Swift, if he's able to stay healthy in this offense, he'll get you 12, 1,500 yards this season because this offense is so dynamic and they're dependent upon Jalen Hurts just a bunch. Now they're saying, okay, we're going to try to stop Jalen Hurts for the Philadelphia Eagles. And now if they're not as concerned with the running back. So DeAndre Swift, if he can stay healthy, I think he'll have a big season as well.
All right, now I want to throw a name out there who I believe is one of the more underrated running backs. That's for Rashard Penny. Now, if we come into a team that does have DeAndre Swift and Kenneth Gainwell, so he's not going to get that many touches, but I do believe he gets the opportunity behind the Eagles offensive line and his talent. I think he can put up a bunch of yards, a bunch of touchdowns because he's that good. DeAndre Swift, also, we already know, really did good. So I'm kind of curious to see how this Eagles offense looks with these two running backs, with Jalen Hurts and the receivers they have on the outside. But one argument I hear a lot against running backs is look at the last team that won Super Bowl. The Chiefs, they had a 7th-round rookie. I don't like that argument because it's only one Patrick Mahomes. You cannot use that argument. It's only one Pat Mahomes. It's only one of him. So talk about how you feel about that argument that people make against Patrick Mahomes and how they won without a top-tier running back.
Well, just think about this. As good as Patrick Mahomes is, we are obviously the best player in the league. Mm-hmm. When in the second half of that Super Bowl game, they ran the football. They had a rookie that ran the football well that actually hurt the Eagles defense and ran the clock out to help them get that victory. So as much as Andy Reid hates the run game, as much as everyone's saying quarterback, to win the biggest game in our sport, they need the running back to do that. And so I just wish that the running back position would be more respected as a position. And unfortunately, right now, they're saying, hey, we don't even want to pay some of the best guys. So that's just a bad. The truth is, there are kickers that are getting paid more than some of our best running backs in the league. And that's not how it should be.
Yeah, that statistic is absolutely insane. There's no other words to put it. But I do want to ask you, one of my more favorite questions is, what are your top 3 favorite teammates that you had throughout your entire football career?
Donovan McNabb, a consummate professional, great fun. You know, I've known Donovan since my college days. Just a great man. Brian Dawkins, another a man that I respect. Obviously, the talent on the field, but everything off the field was super special. Jeremiah Trotter, another talented teammate, but a even better man off the field, supportive of me. Guys like Dorsey Levens, a guy that I talk to often, even afterwards. Correll Buckhalter. I mean, I was lucky to be around some great men, and I think in order to become a great man, sometimes you need some examples. Sometimes you need other great men to be around. And I was around some great men, and the key for me truly was I need to show off. I didn't need to try to be somebody that I wasn't. I just wanted to learn. I wanted to listen. I wanted to have an opportunity to say, okay, you guys know it. You've been there and have done that. Teach me. Show me how to do the right thing. And all those men that I mentioned were just great leaders. They were great teammates, but also great men as well.
A man you named, Brian Dawkins, one of the greatest safeties of all time, possibly the greatest Eagle of all time, one of the more important Eagles of all time. I want you to give me one Brian Dawkins story that has never been told before here in the zone with me.
During my career, I spent a lot of time in the training room just trying to remain healthy. And there was a couple times where Doc spent a lot of time in the training room as well. And you know, we were each the type of player that we may not practice all week long, but we were going to do everything we could to be on that field on Sundays. And so there was one week where I knew, quite honestly, Doc just had no business playing. He had no ability to get on the field. He couldn't really move around, couldn't do the things that made him a special player. And, you know, he's a man of great faith. He's a man that believes in the Lord and believes in the strength of the Lord. And I do as well. And so, you know, we oftentimes we pray together. Oftentimes we spend time on our knees, just expressing our gratitude, expressing our faith, but also asking for healing. And you know, there were just many times where Doc would put his hands on me and would say, "Listen, you know, through God's strength and His mercy, you'll be healed." And we played up in the Giants, and I have to tell you, I just couldn't walk. I could barely walk. I was limping around pregame and all those different things. Doc and I got into a corner and prayed, and he put some, you know, some holy oil on my knees, and I was able to go out there and have a great game. I actually think that may have been one of our playoff games. I had a couple of touchdowns against the Giants, and so that's always something special to me. Where a man of such conviction, a man that played with so much violence and rage and passion, um, was human enough in a sport where you have to be focused yourself to be able to play, to not think about himself, but to think about me and my ability to go out there and play prior to a game. That was super special to me, something that I rarely ever share with anyone.
Wow, I really thank you for sharing that on his own knee. I'm inspired. I'm ready to go run through a wall right now. I'm ready to go run through a wall. But now I want to talk about what you're doing off the field, post your career in the philanthropy space, because I know you have a foundation. So let's talk a little bit about that to some of my followers.
Well, in order to get to the place where I am in life, where I'm comfortable, I'm married, have 3 kids, I needed so much help, right? I needed so many people that were willing to help me along the way. I named a lot of them throughout our interview here. And I also believe that I want to be able to help other people. What I see is, unfortunately, minorities, people that look like me, that grew up in the same area as me, not getting the help that they need. And my wife and I decided in 2017 that we were going to develop a foundation that not only wanted to speak to sports, football and basketball, and what the sports can bring to our young people, but also speak to the school aspect as well and the vocational aspect. It's our belief that, unfortunately, a lot of our young people go through life with blinders on and really only can focus on what they can see right there directly in front of them. And it's my ability, a man that has been cultured, a man that has been able to travel and do different things and be exposed to a lot of different people, to help slowly but surely take those blinders off so that our children, that our people have a wider field of view, that they can see things that they didn't think initially that they should be a part of or could be a part of. And now they're saying, you know what, I can go do that. So one of the things that our foundation does is that we want to open the doors to access different things that young people traditionally don't think they can be a part of. And so we have data analytics camps. One is agricultural data analytics camps, where we try to understand food deserts and how do we get fresh produce and vegetables and fruit to inner city where there hasn't been, unfortunately, in a lot of minority areas, there's just not a lot of fresh fruit and produce. How the effect of climate change in our environment continues to affect us. I have a horse farm, and so we are literally, we have horses. We're raising horses, but we're truly in the grass business. How do you create more and more grass so that your horses can eat and be fed? And so we're in that business, and so we learn how different things. We fly drones, so that's kind of the agricultural data analytics side. We also do a sports data analytics side, right? And so when you look at a lot of sports organizations at this point, they're using data analytics to make major decisions. Who do I pick in the draft? Do I go for it on fourth down? Who should I have pitching? Who should I have
Yeah.
playing in this basketball game? So minorities need to understand what data analytics there are. So we have those camps throughout the year, which is super special. And we do STEAM and STEM camps so that our young people can be pushed academically. The truth is that 55% of our people will go to college. We want to help push those people in all those areas so they can be successful in the college realm. We also understand that 45% will go to that will not go to college. So we want to get them involved with the trades, mechanical. Excuse me, learn how to be a mechanic, learn how to be a carpenter, learn how to be an electrician, learn how to be a machine operator. All the things that you can do with your hand that you don't have to be a great student to be. We want to push them in that direction too. And so, in order to do that, our foundation has built a trade school so that our kids can learn how to do trades. And so, we want to continue to push our children. We want to continue to push our youth. We also have horse programs at our horse farm. The one thing we do not have right now is like a football camp. And I believe there are so many people that have football camps, so many athletes that have football camps. I want to be able to focus on helping our young people off the field, be able to push them in so many different ways off the field. And so that's what our focus is with our philanthropy. We want to keep making sure that our society and our community has everything that they need to become and be successful. And it's, if I can push someone and help someone the way that so many people have helped me, that's my way of giving back.
And if you want to hear more about the Brian Westbrook Foundation, you can go to his website. Just type in brianwestbrook.com or type in Brian Westbrook on Google. You'll see his website to go directly to his foundation. Now, thank you for coming on. But if you could say Hey, my name is Ryan Westbrook, and I was just in the zone with me. That will close us out for today.
Hello, I'm
Yep.
Brian Westbrook, and you're in the zone with me.
Yeah, thanks for watching the video. I really appreciate that. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share. I'm going to make some more videos, posting them on YouTube. Another Talking with Neat episode will be dropping soon. Thank you. Enjoy your day.